Yo, 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 Shellstastic from Shellstastic Sports. How we doing, people? I am way behind the videos. Trust me, I know. Just been so many things going on. And if you don't do things at certain times, it just goes over and stuff like that. So, no excuses now. I need to stay on point on it because I'm just going to be out of sync and sometimes you be too far. But I am going to start with the Premier League. I'm going to do quite a few videos today just to get back on track with everything in various sports. But Premier League, Matchday 2. I know I'm a couple of weeks behind, but I'm back. I'm gonna stay on top now. Let's just start off with the first game of that weekend. Aston Villa 2, Everton 1. Watching the highlights of this game, obviously it was a big game. Obviously it was built up as Gerrard versus Lampard. Both need wins for similar reasons, basically. Both are struggling. Obviously different ends of the spectrum. Though Villa spent quite a lot of money in this transfer market. They've obviously backed Gerrard. And obviously Everton having the financial difficulties with the fair play and stuff, so they've more had to sell their best assets rather than actually being able to buy like they've been through previous seasons. So it was a difficult. So both of them had difficulties in that way, but Villa haven't started well, and from the first day losing at Bournemouth. So the fact they bounced back and beat Everton 2-1 at home obviously would have done them well. It's a close game, maybe there was 5 minutes left of that game. Everton would have maybe got back to 2-2 because they were putting pressure on towards the end. But yeah, good big 3 points for Stevie G. Lampard obviously again struggling. Unlucky in the first game in the season against Chelsea. Should have got something out of the game. But yeah, 1-0, 2-1 to Villa. And yeah, good start after the disappointing defeat. So good result. Moving on to the next one, it was Southampton 2, Leeds 2. Again, thrilling game. Leeds would be kicking themselves, I think they were 2-0 up, weren't they? And Southampton came back, although twice, so I can't remember exactly the sequence now. But yeah, they were winning that game, and then Southampton kept coming back. So good point game from Southampton in the end. 2 points drop for Leeds. Always feels like a defeat when you don't win the game from being in that position. But yeah, again, decent game. Obviously, pressure at Southampton. They've always been looked at as a selling club, but not really bringing the stars, or they're just bringing young players that none of us know about and develop them well, and then they move on. But they got a couple of promising young players. I can't remember the centre back. I like him. I can't pronounce his name, but very good young. I think he's 20. Very good. He's solid. Looks very good. So yeah, they'll be interesting what kind of season. I imagine they'll struggle this season and they'll be fighting down the bottom. But showing great spirit. Russell, Ralph hasn't hurt. He's got a good team. He's got good. In terms of his teams, they do play for him and they run and work them out. If you remember last season, they were very much high up there in terms of kilometres of distance covered and stuff like that. So they will work and run around for him. So he's got a team there of players that want to work for him and do well. So it'll be interesting that kind of season. I reckon they'll struggle, but I reckon there'll be moments in the season where Southampton are playing really well. So it'll be interesting. As for Leeds, like I said, they've brought in quite a few new players. Obviously, that Rafinha money did help. But they have got quite a few new faces in the door, so it'll be interesting. Harrison looks like a good player. And obviously the manager's doing pretty well, He did well at the end of last season to steer them away from the relegation. After Bielsa had them bang on looking like they were going to get relegated. Obviously they escaped last day of the season. But also, I don't know what kind of season. Obviously they sport quite a few, so they definitely don't want to be in another relegation battle. I know they got ambitious owners to get Leeds back to glory days of being in the Champions League. How realistic that is now with the likes of Newcastle coming through as well. Hard, but a bit like Villa, I was saying in the previous one, they got ambitious owners as well. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of season Leeds have. What they have done, definitely been in the market this summer. Bought quite a few players, so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, 2-2, decent result. I think a draw in the end was probably what both deserved. Obviously being in front, you're always hurting as a manager, but I suppose if you look to the balance of play, 2-2 was pretty even. So yeah, decent game. Moving on, my team, Arsenal, against Leicester, the Foxes. This was a game, a very good game. Arsenal dominant. The scoreline won't tell you that, but it was very dominant. I just feel like we responded every time Leicester they got their foot in the game. Bang, another goal. And that's what one of the things that was missing from Arsenal. Was been missing from Arsenal for a long time is that reaction. You know, you get. Listen, no one wants to concede goals. No one wants to concede sloppy goals. But it's that reaction more than anything. Mistakes happen in football. You know, this is something you can't cut out even from the very best. Mistakes happen. But it's about how you react, and we've reacted really well. You know, the first one, I mean, we went 2-0 very quickly in this game. Was it Jesus who won 2 goals early on? What a first goal, Henry-esque, the way he just dinked it in the top corner, and then the second one just back post header, 2-0, and then their goal came from, I think it was a bit, basically ball came in, and obviously Saliba has to get a touch on it, head on it, because obviously Vardy's running the side. If he leaves it, right, the gap between him and Ramsdale and Vardy gets there before Ramsdale, and he either fouls him for a penalty, or Vardy just walks down and has a little tap in. So he had to get the touch. Unfortunately, it went in as an own goal. Unfortunate, but Saliba again, brilliant performance in that game. And Arsenal did really well. Leicester, to be fair, showed a bit of fight more in that second half. But Arsenal kept, every time they thought they were going to get a foot in, Arsenal scored again. So 4-2, the good stuff for Arsenal. 2 out of 2, 6 points out of 6. You can't much better than that. Can't get better than that. So and for Leicester, they've struggled. Haven't brought anyone in through the market yet. I don't know what's going to happen there. They're not really, haven't seemed to back Rodgers, but again, they're obviously dealing with financial difficulties like everyone has. So it'll be interesting in what they do in the market. But yeah, good start for the Gunners, and 40 was a good game and they deserve it. The result, the right result was there in terms of the win. The scoreline don't show it. It makes it look like a closer game, but when you watch it, it wasn't as close. It's just Leicester had 2 moments in that game, and Arsenal really dominated the whole thing. So disappointed in the goals they conceded, obviously, but yeah, good 3 points for the Gunners. The next game, moving on, Brighton Newcastle. Again, 0-0. Saw a little bit of the highlights. Brighton did have the better of it. Newcastle did well to come out of the Amex with a point. It's a tough place to go, Brighton. They've given every team problems there. Every team, big team, small team, they give everyone problems. So you go to Brighton and you can get a point. And bear in mind, if you're second fiddle, you'll take that. So I think Eddie Howe and the boys there will say, they'll take that after the open day win against Nottingham Forest. They'll take that 4 points from 2 games. They couldn't ask much better. So yeah, I think that's decent. Brighton will be disappointed. They had a few chances in that game to get the win, but I think in the end, a point would be grateful for Newcastle. Brighton would be disappointed they didn't get the 3 points. Moving on to the reigning champions, Man City versus Bournemouth. Absolutely smashed Bournemouth to pieces. This is what City do to most teams. So Bournemouth feel no way or no shame. This is what City do to most teams. Trust me, I know as an Arsenal fan, I've seen them put 5-6 past us, and we're a hell of a better team. No, all due respect to Bournemouth. So Man City can do this to absolutely anyone. And 4-0, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, 4-0. Haaland didn't score, did he? So interesting, but yeah, again, it's not much I really can break down. It's just typical Man City dominating possession, moving people around, great football, open them up, and then just scoring tap-ins. And yeah, pretty emphatic performance from the City. They're going to take some beating, and like I said, when Haaland is fully up and running, them gaps, them chances in last season where they were missing against certain teams, they'll be filled now, and if Haaland will be scoring them. So I see them win the title by a minimum 6 points, but I think it'll even be bigger. Because I think Liverpool are still under some adaptation without Mane and Nunes. They're changing things, whereas Man City is very much the same, just with now the missing jigsaw for me in their team, and that was just scoring goals. So I think they'll take some doing, and I think they'll do well in the Champions League, potentially win it this time, because he might be the difference. So yeah, not much to say. Typical Man City winning 4-0. Good start, 100% start to the season. No goals conceded yet either, so strong start. Next game, Wolves Fulham. Again, not much to talk about. It was a 0-0 at the Molineux. Again, Fulham have started the season really well. Got a point against Liverpool first game of the season. This is probably they should have won. Wolves again, they're struggling to pick up points at home, even from the back end of last season as well. So they are struggling a bit. I don't know what they're gonna do in reinvestments and stuff like that. Reinforcements in, but yeah, Fulham decent start to the season. They would have took that 0-0 before the game, and yeah, so Wolves will be a bit disappointed. Problem we saw with Wolves last season, very solid defensively, but don't really create much going forward. So yeah, they'll be disappointed. They did at home against a newly promoted team. They didn't score. They didn't win, but Fulham will be happy to take the 0-0. So not much to say much on that. 0-0 at Molineux. Next game. Let me just have a bit of water to digest this one. Brentford 4, Manchester United, the Red Devils 0. Someone explain that to me. I mean, I know that as an Arsenal fan, we went there last season undercooked. Let's just keep it real. A lot of COVID, injuries, all of that, and we went there lost 2-0 open day season. It happens. We had to underline the matters why things like that happen. Man United had a fit squad for everyone ready to go, and they absolutely got turned with their heads on fire. Like, what the hell happened? I mean, that was the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday, and they absolutely got smashed to pieces. I mean, Brentford, they made Brentford look like Barcelona back in the day. Pets Barcelona, the way they're moving. Some of the football, I mean, there's a lot of talk about Martinez. Is he going to be tall enough? I personally don't think so. He's the same. He's similar to me, and I used to play in the defence. And if I was playing centre back, you need someone. Like, one of my friends, he's very tall and he's very agile as well. You need that, but and Maguire's very tall, but he's not agile, so that doesn't help. So I'm just wondering how their partnerships are going to work. Are they going to play Varane with him? Because Varane's a bit more agile. There's just certain aerial things. It doesn't matter how strong he's physically. I'm a very strong guy, physically on the floor and that. But there's obviously the disadvantages when balls start getting whipped in the air. I can't physically challenge with certain guys, but they're just going to have the even if I'm physically stronger than them, they're just going to have the leverage and the size to just lean on me and jump. You know what I mean? And you saw that in the Ben Mee goal especially. I think that was what made it 3-0, I think. And yeah, he didn't even look like he jumped. He just he's just naturally a bigger guy. And he's a centre back, and he just leaned on them. And teams are going to target Martinez, unfortunately. You always got to find a weakness in the team. And Martinez will be good against strikers that are more mobile in terms of the ball's going to stay to feet and stuff like that, because that would then suit his aggressive game. But when it comes to that physical battle, I'm thinking if he was here years ago when the likes of Tony Pulis' Stoke was here, he'd absolutely get done, especially at the Britannia Stadium. He'd get absolutely done, because when they were getting them Rory Delap long balls sliding in, he'd actually get bullied. When them man up there, like Shawcross and Crouch and all them man there, were flying in with headers and being physical, he'd have got bullied, man. He'd have been on the floor looking for a free kick, because he'd have been getting slaughtered. So he's lucky that he hasn't come in that kind of era. So, but yeah, I still feel like there's enough strikers. I just talked about Haaland. Haaland's going to bully him. Haaland's 6'4", 6'5", huge guy, strong. He's going to lean on him, And I just had a feeling these are the type of games where he's going to struggle. I think he could be a success, but in certain games, I'd play him in CDM, left back in certain games. Like, I feel like, I know Arsenal we were looking to buy him as well, but Arteta for me would never put him as a centre back unless it was just a certain game. I think he was looking to put him more in DM or thingy, and then obviously that didn't happen, so he went for Zinchenko. But I don't think he ever would have put him in a defensive position during the league himself. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but he got bullied. I mean, United got bullied as well. I mean, if you look at the last goal, it was unreal. But don't get me wrong, take nothing away from Brentford. Absolutely wonderful football. Then they destroyed Man United and they pressed them, and Man United made some bad decision making. They made an absolute error for the first goal, or the first two goals. But you got to capitalise, because teams make errors in games and the teams get away with it. But Brentford made sure no one got away with it, and they kept their own and they kept the clean sheet, and fully deserved. So there's going to be a big inquiry in what's going on Man United, but don't take the gloss off what Brentford did. Brentford put them in that position. So well done, Thomas Frank and Brentford did really well. Made Man United really suffer that day. What Man United do in the market now is going to be panic buyers, clearly, because they don't seem to have a structure and plan. They just waited on De Jong for 3 months. The guy didn't want to come in the first place, so why are we waiting for him? Or why were you not waiting for him? Sorry. But yeah, it is what it is. Great result for Brentford. Man United are going to have to look around and see how they can move on. So let's move on. Nottingham Forest 1, West Ham 0. Newly promoted Forest that are buying, seems like they're buying everyone. They bought, I think, 15, 16, 17. I don't know how many players they got, but they've decided to do crazy amounts. It's just like FIFA settings, man. And I don't know if you love play FIFA, you can put you can put like the takeover thing before you start your career mode, and you can put it up to like stupid amount of money, just bring in lots of players. It feels like that's what Forest have done, just bring in lots of players. I know they had a lot of loan players and players contracts, free agents from last season, so they had to buy quite a few players to build a squad again. But yeah, it'd be interesting how they stay up, because I remember Fulham doing something similar like this a few years ago when they came up. Not last time, the time before, spent silly money and bought a lot of players, and then they went right back down. And then had the issue of trying to get offload these players, because clubs ain't gonna pay them the same wages and stuff like that because they're not in the Premier League. So interesting one. But yeah, they did well, beat West Ham. West Ham struggling at the moment. I know they lost against City in the first game, which is not unexpected, but this was a game probably looked at as them to pick up the points in there, but to get the season going, didn't, lost. So they'll be disappointed. They're going to be disappointed, but yeah. Full place, not in Forest, giving themselves chances. For all the newly promoted teams, if it's Bournemouth, Fulham, or Forest, they're all gonna have to keep winning their home games, and they're not necessarily like Forest beat West Ham. That wasn't really their games. It's gonna be the games in and around there where they want to pick up the points to stay in the league. So these games winning here, especially at early point in the season, are very bonuses, because they could look back at the end of the season thinking that win against West Ham in a game where we weren't really expected to get anything could actually keep us up in the league. So sometimes these little shock results actually can help them. Could be the difference. So good on them. Hopefully West Ham will kick on and get the season started. But 2 defeats and no goals scored, not ideal start. But it's only 2 games, so let's not panic, hammers. Next game, very entertaining game. Chelsea 2, Tottenham 2. The scoreline doesn't reflect the game. Really could have been 4-0, 4-2 Chelsea. Anyhow you look at it, Tottenham are poor. But they dug in, and they one thing Tottenham, and this hurts me as Arsenal fan, they have threats up front. As long as they are in the game, they always got a chance, because they got enough man up front to cause any team in the world problems. And that's pretty much what happened in that game, because really, and Chelsea don't have the same offence as Tottenham, and that was the difference. Because if you put the same attackers in Chelsea, game was finished, easy game. But because Chelsea don't, they don't have that out and out striker, a lot of chances wasted. And they took their centre back Koulibaly to score a wonder strike to open the scoring. So, yeah, that's a problem of Chelsea's. They need a striker. They definitely do. So obviously, everyone spending money in probably weird positions for me that are not needed. They need to spend money on a striker. But it was an entertaining game. Last minute, I think it was injury time equaliser from Harry Kane. Who else? And yeah, 2-2. But entertaining game. Chelsea did play some really good stuff, and I'd be irritated that they didn't go through and win that game. Obviously, Conte and Tuchel had a little, I wouldn't say bust up on the touchline, but disagreement or handshake of no appreciation kind of thing. But it happens. The heat of the moment. You want to see this. You know what I mean? It didn't overboil, but yeah. 2 passionate managers for their team, so what more can you want as a fan to see? And lastly, but not least, from round of Matchday 2 games, it was Liverpool 1, Crystal Palace 1, and yeah, interesting start. Liverpool haven't really kicked off the season the way they should have. Obviously, naturally, people thought Fulham, Palace, they're 6-pointers. Nah, they've already got 2 out of those 6. So, I know they got Man United next. They're going to want to do damage then, because they're already playing catch up to City already. It's early in the season, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But Liverpool dominated this football game. Let's not get it right. But they look vulnerable on that counter-attack. I suppose they've always looked vulnerable on the counter-attack, but they've always seemed to just recover the ball really quickly. You don't really get a chance to expose it. But yeah, Palace had a few times through Eze and Zaha particularly, but definitely causing issues. And if you look for the goal, Eze, wonderful bit of skill in the middle, and then freed Zaha. And Zaha, what a finish. Class finish from Wilfred. And great start for Palace. And then, obviously, Liverpool went down 10 men. Nunes had a moment of absolute madness. I know he's a young boy, but I don't really like to give them excuses, oh, he's young and stuff like that, because I feel like, from the age of football, you can't go and headbutt someone. You just can't do that. And I don't care how old or young you are, you just know you can't do that. So, yeah, he is a feisty guy, but he needs to know that he just let his team down. Don't get me wrong, Diaz did a wonderful piece of individual brilliance and got them back on level terms and got them a point in the end. Palace could have won at the end. Zaha had a chance towards the end. But yeah, it was a good game, entertaining game. Klopp would be disappointed. Vieira would be happy. You know, obviously having Arsenal at the start. The first game season, obviously lost 2-0, but then to get a point at Anfield, that's a good point, very good point for Palace as well. Expect them to kick on this season and try and achieve stuff. Yeah, it's got them playing really well and stuff like that, and good system in place, and they play good football in the eye, so that'd be interesting. So yeah, people, that is match day 2 games out the way. Match day 3 ones is coming right up after this video. So yeah, man, leave your thoughts behind. Let me know if you have missed any points about your teams or any team, or what you think of the games, or you know, what predictions for the season for certain teams. Just let me know below. Please share, subscribe, and like. Your boy Shelltastic is coming back real soon with more videos. I'm gonna stay on point now, and yeah, man, just let me know your thoughts, man. And I'll be back on another video. Peace.